Okay, approval of minutes for our last regular meeting and for our special meeting.
Only thing I saw in those, I don't remember which one, but it had me down as the voting alternate and as a guest. But other than that, I would move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Do we have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any public comment? Do we have any public?
There's nothing in the chat.
Okay. Give it a couple seconds here, but. And hearing no public comment, we'll move on to payables. What's your pleasure there?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, financial report for October.
All right, so if we look up inside the revenues, the only thing I really wanted to point out to you guys is that radio operations collection. It says we've collected 51,000 and we have 15,000 remaining. We will not collect that other 15,000. We budgeted 31,000 to come from Public Works, and I believe theirs came out at about 12,000 for the year. So they're not going to be bringing in any more. And we've kind of revamped our contract with them, so they aren't paying fees the same way that they used to.
So we don't have to send Guido out to them?
No.
Okay.
And then under the sales tax line, I believe 17, we're coming in, we're at 2.3 through October. So that does not include what we received in November or what we will receive in December. So we still are, I believe, going to come out at right around 2.7. Other than that, there's no major things in revenues unless you guys have any questions in that section.
I just want to share that the Board of County Commissioners did approve a budget amendment for our current budget year, increasing the sales tax collected and the 911 tax by $1,050,000. So a little over $3 million is available. So I know it's just a rollover. So the revenue figures have come in. I know all of the city managers are pretty well aware that sales tax is continuing at pace a little bit ahead of last year. And although the rate of increase has slowed a bit, it's still ahead of last year. And that's what we've discovered, the benefits of tagging on to the inflation-proof tax source generated by sales.
A little bit of good news.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're the taxpayer.
Yeah.
Okay, then down in the expenditure section for operations, we're looking good still for direct labor and benefits. We're still probably going to be right around the 8 to 10% remaining in both of those. And then if we go down to the next kind of big number is professional and contracted services, line 33. Cressa has just come in much lower than budgeted at 94,000 is what they budgeted, and they haven't come in like that. And there was a $6,000 budget for Protham, and we paid all of that out last year. So that's kind of the big difference in that line item. And then the next line down is legal. That has a little bit of charges for our employment lawyer. Most of it's just Frank. And we got rid of our negotiation lawyer, TWG. So there was 48,000 budgeted for them. And so that's not going to come out, obviously, because we're not using them anymore. And then if you go down to line 47 under technology and software maintenance, it looks like we had budgeted $231,000 for Intergraph, but we only came in at $150 for Intergraph. So that's kind of the big cost savings in that line item. And then the last, I guess below that, you have landlord tenant at line 49. We just haven't paid out the last 2 months for that. So that will be coming out. That one will be completed. And then down in the other funds expenditures for equipment reserve, we were at 203 in October, but this month we paid out Spillman quite a bit. So we're actually going to come in at 432,000 for equipment reserve. And then radio operations, we're just coming in a little bit lower than expected, but a big chunk of those will be going out next month for lease payments for our Davis Peak, Signal Peak, and Abernathy. So a good chunk of that is still pending to go out end of year. And then under radio reserve, that capital expenditures, that 20,000 that's left to be expended is the retainage that has not been released for our radio consoles yet. I'm still waiting on DOR, but they said they're about 4 to 6 weeks out because they're training 2 new people. And then I think other than that, unless you guys have any questions, the stuff below that's just internal transfers. And then the summary of kind of where our investments are and our cash balances were through the end of October.
Any questions for Rachel on that? Okay, thank you, Rachel. Director recruitment update. I know Janelle's been doing some research on salary ranges. So Janelle, do you want to?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I am going to share my screen here so you can see. Share. All right. So I was able to complete some compensation research on executive directors so we can see comparables. Some things to note with this, many of the agencies don't have ranges. They just have a set amount. Those that do have ranges are still with their counties and have a set wage classification or range. For those that don't have ranges, usually the executive director then gets a COLA or any other percent adjustment that the rest of the staff gets. So here I included several comps that are similar size to us, as well as a couple larger ones. Essentially, what I have found is what we've done previously for both Dave and Phil was $120K per year. And ultimately, I feel like that is pretty in line based on what I'm seeing here. In the green highlighted area, you can see the average starting or bottom step salary, the average total comp, The average holiday hours and vacation hours, we are lower than most in terms of holiday and vacation hours, at least for starting. Based on this research, I still suggest that we stick with an advertised range. I bumped it up slightly to 115, but I suggest we advertise 115 to 135. And then I still suggest we keep our target at 120 plus whatever COLA there is. And then if there are negotiations, we might want to try to focus those on PTO since we are below the average in terms of holiday or vacation hours. So those, you can see my research and my recommendations, and I'm definitely open to any questions if you guys have any.
Any questions for Janelle?
Well, this is Brad. Just maybe to frame this, I know the 911 center just hired a new IT person. And my understanding is they're coming in at about 107,000 a year with a couple steps yet to go. Do you know what their top range is for the new IT person?
Yeah, so on the left-hand side below the chart, I did write down the range of our current IT manager that you guys just approved. It goes up to 117. Also for your information, on current staff, our current highest paid employee is 114. So that's why I recommended the range to be at least 115 to start, with our goal at 120.
Well, thank you. I think it's good. The executive director should come in higher than the new IT guy, I think. So.
Absolutely.
Janelle, I have a question. In the top green,
Yeah.
says average starting total comp.
Yep.
Is that including benefits?
Yes. So
Is that
that
what total comp means?
yes, total compensation includes benefits as well as PTO. It doesn't include retirement in this case, but all of them would have the same PERS retirement. And I did note there right now, as an employer, we would be contributing 10.25 of a salary. So I didn't include retirement benefits, but total comp does include medical benefits and PTO.
Were you able to run a top salary average?
Yeah, so just salary, the average was 111 for starting or bottom step.
But that's starting or bottom, but were you able to do a top?
No, I didn't, but I certainly can do that right now. I have the things open here, so let me go. That's not right. Let me do a little calculations on that real fast. I'm gonna stop sharing because I'm nervous with you guys all watching me do this, and see if I can get the average for the top. And again, it's kind of hard to do because we're not comparing apples to apples. Some have a set range with guaranteed increases every year. And then quite a few just have no range where you get what you get. So it's kind of hard to compare apples to apples across all these different PSAPs, since some have guaranteed step ranges and some do not for their director. And in the past, we have not. We have just had a set amount that we offered. So.
Janelle's calculating that, just to let you know, we have got quite a bit accomplished on the search committee, and Janelle's also put together a draft kind of packet, I guess, that advertises the position as well as the area and things. And we've also come up with I believe it's 5 questions, initial questions that would be any applicants will be asked to answer in an essay format. So once we have an approved salary range, we're very close to being ready to start advertising the position.
So yes, I was able to, for those that do have a top step of just salary range, the average was 146, 126.
Ellen, if you're looking for a motion on this, I'd propose a salary range from 115 to 145.
Okay. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'd second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
All right, so I'll advertise then 115 to 145. And then of course, once we review applicants, you guys can, and see what they're asking for, et cetera, you guys can determine, but in the advertisement, I'll go 115 to 145. As Alan was saying, I do have all the other materials mostly ready to go. I will have the committee confirm before I post, but as I talked about last time, the tentative timeline is posting this position probably next week, going live with it, allowing for about a month of applicants to come in. And then after the holidays, the first or second week of January, doing our first review of applicants before we decide who will interview. So that's kind of the tentative timeline of what's going on. So.
I don't know if we gave anybody a chance to vote no on that, so.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Alan, jumped in too quick.
Did we have any no votes? Okay, looks like our motion carried, so. Thank you, Janelle. Any other questions for Janelle? On that, continue to move forward. Okay, and I should remember this, but has LawTech and FireTech, have they met again, or are they not till after the first of the year? I can't remember.
Well, I have an LTAC report, Alan. They did meet
Okay.
on Monday.
Okay,
Chief Criminal Deputy Brightbill's off today, but he did supply me with a report. They're working on training for the new CAD system that's coming online due to the kind of delay in construction implementation. They've kind of rolled that back, but they do have some dates scheduled out for, I think, both law and fire side to get the new training on the new Spillman system. They've also formed a subcommittee to review radio use guidelines. And they also had some discussion, didn't reach any conclusion on developing some new dispatch protocols for the Longview Behavioral Health Unit, how that's going to look like on the dispatch side of things. So no conclusions on that, but that is their report at this time.
okay,
Yeah, and the fire TAC, they're not set to meet until January, but they're kind of the same thing Brad said. They've been meeting on a lot of Spillman stuff going on and training and so on.
okay. Good. Hopefully everybody will be up to speed and ready to go when we switch over. Okay, moving on to the director's report. Norm.
Yes, so staffing update. We are happy to report that Don Torrentine was selected as the new IT and vendor manager, and he has agreed to a start date of December 13th. So that's a Monday. He'll be joining the team here.
And what was his name again?
Don Torrentine, I believe.
he's on the Zoom.
Oh, is he? Okay, great. Well, welcome, Don.
I think that's all we had for staff update.
Okay,
Go ahead and proceed with-
Sorry, Dennis.
Nope. He fit in very well, and we trained him up for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, we were very, very lucky to get him.
So moving on to climate and culture, we have a couple of recognition awards that were presented. One for the Exceptional Team Service Award to Michelle. And Rachel, do you have the photographs that we were going to show on that?
I'm just about to share my screen and pull them up, but I gotta pull them onto my screen first, sorry.
I don't know if Alan wants to speak to this, or I don't know if Chief Huda is on or not, but they're the ones that made the presentation for the Exceptional Team Award, Service Award to Michelle Sims, Melissa Beal, Suzanne Steicher, and Josh Ewald. I have this any, there we go.
Okay.
And
I haven't seen Robert on the list here, but if he's not there, I'll kind of jump in here. Yeah, this as there's a synopsis of the call on here that you can read as you have opportunity. I encourage you to do that. But you probably all remember here a few weeks ago there was a individual that was attempting to break into a house on the west end of Longview. I believe it was off of 38th, and the lady that was living in the home with her children had called 911, and this individual continued to try to break in, took off his clothes, broke a window out, I believe, and was attempting to climb into the house. And the lady, to protect herself and her family, shot the individual, which he ended up dying. And turns out he had some history of mental illness. So it's a pretty tragic situation and pretty tough, for everybody involved. But our dispatching team handled it so well, including when the lady's husband called. He was out of town. He apparently had seen some. I believe they had a ring camera or something, and had seen some of the activities. So our dispatchers were able to handle that all and keep people as calm as possible, and direct responding law enforcement into the situation, as well as aid personnel. And I just, the teamwork that went into that was just exemplary. We've got some good people, and I certainly appreciate their efforts, and it was an honor for me to help present these awards. They were certainly well deserved.
And then the second award was for peer recognition award presented to Trista, and that was presented internally to the 911 center. That was her supervisor that presented that to her. And then in each case, each of the dispatchers also received a challenge coin for their actions. And then if we can move on, I'll move on to the facility update. This is just to show, this is the parking structure for the employees. I think we're just getting finished. This is the new sign location. You can see the building in the background. That's the current condition. If you look in most of the window openings, you can see the storefront frames that have been placed there. So they're currently doing that now, trying to get all of the storefront frames completed so that they can seal up the building. And let's move to the next one. You can also see here that the curbs for the drive and parking areas are getting completed in preparation for paving. And another slide. So you can see the condition of the, this is the dispatch floor itself. You can see the current status. You've got your those white pipes up in the ceiling are your vacuum systems. You've got some electrical drain lines. You've got some mechanical going in. You've got your water lines that have been insulated in the walls. And if we keep going, this is the Emergency Operations Center. And you can see some of the mechanical HVAC pieces are on the floor waiting to be installed. And this shows some of the, you've got some fire sprinkler lines up there. You've got your HVAC ductwork up there. You've got your vacuum system in there. The electrical in the water is also being placed. And this is pictures to show the CMU, the cement masonry unit veneer that's on the end of the building. So this is the scaffolding they put up so that they could complete that that veneer. And it's actually on each end, the west end and the east end of the building. I'm not sure if we have one more picture, Rachel. We went back to the original. So that's the pictures. Next meeting, we'll be very close to a couple of major milestones, which will really change the appearance of the building and what can be completed, and it'll really start to look a little bit more complete. We are looking at paving around December 9th or 10th. So all of the curb will be in, the paving will be ready to go down by the time we have our next meeting, and hopefully it'll be going in the following day or two. All of the storefront frames should be in, and what the contractor intends to do is actually install all of the exterior doors. Once the window frames are in, they will install plywood or probably OSB, oriented strand board, where the window panes go so that they can seal the building off. Now on those upper tall windows, they'll probably put plastic in just so they get some light in, but it'll seal up the building and it will allow them to proceed with their sheetrocking and that type of work. The project, we've already talked about the project being delayed. We did get a revised schedule that shows the substantial completion being March 31st of 2022. And the final completion, this is completion of any punch list items, of April 22nd of 2022. As far as the project budget, we have no new changes other than what were started prior to my taking this interim position. Alan did ask me to stop work on the dog kennel portion, which was about a $20,000 change. There was some work that had been completed, so that final price came in at $3,213. So that is money that we'll have to spend. And the only change that hasn't been priced yet, and the contractor is working on pricing it, is some changes to the dispatch consoles. And what there's three things: the dispatch consoles, the monitors, and some additional fencing, but they're all being priced in the same change order. So the dispatch console layout, we had 12 dispatch consoles that were going to be provided for. We've added two additional locations in the training room so that we can actually train the dispatchers outside of the dispatch floor. And we've moved one additional one into the supervisor's office so that both supervisors have access to that same capability. The monitors, we've adjusted some of the locations where the monitors would be, and we've added additional monitor locations so that the dispatch floor will be have more flexibility, the ability to put more monitors in, and to really optimize them for visibility by the dispatchers, and as well as in the EOC, that both of those areas. And then the last is an additional fence with a gate, and that is to separate the exit door from the EOC, so that if the EOC is being used, especially for like a training of non emergency response people, and they go into the back area to take a break, there will be now a fence with a locked gate, keeping them from accessing the 911 area. So those are the three changes that are currently being priced, which I'm not sure whether or not you had been told about those previously. So I just wanted to make sure that you had that information. Any questions? I'm not sure I clearly stated all of that, but I tried to. Not hearing any questions, I'll turn it over to Deanna for the radio update.
Okay, where will I start? We've had an issue down in Woodland between Davis and the Woodland site with some microwaves. We'd had them on order for about 3 months. They came in. We have changed the microwave at the Davis site, pending some other delays with the Woodland site. We can't put the new 3-foot dish on the wood pole that we have there. It needs to go on the monopole. So I will be working with Chief Kelly from Woodland, moving forward, trying to find a solution to get that Woodland site moving so we can get the monopole up there. Right now, the current issue with that Woodland to Davis link is some equipment that we're waiting on that should be here December 1st. And what it does is it takes an Ethernet connection, changes it to a T1 or a phone connection, and then changes it back to an Ethernet connection. And that piece has failed, and so we're just waiting on that part. So there are some coverage issues in the Woodland area, and inside buildings, like if they're in their police station, their portable radios aren't going to get out. So they're aware, and it's been something that Day Wireless has actually been working on for a couple of weeks, trying to find a workaround. Baker's Corner site, I just sent Norm a ton of emails to give him the information so that he can work on that permitting with the city out there. And we do have a little bit of an obstacle, the wooden pole, the notorious wooden pole. It was supposed to be 60 feet high, and it is 70 feet high. So we need to work that out with the city as well. Castle Rock site, They've completed the locates. Day Wireless will be up there digging trenches to run power and get the little facility put up. And then we'll put some equipment up at the Castle Rock High School. I think that is it for right now. Any questions?
Hey, Deanna, this is Ralph. Anything new on the across the river progress for what was it? Was it a Columbia? Is it a Columbia site?
Yeah, Columbia County. Day is gonna go up there and do some additional testing. I know that we had Mark Palins do like a radio study thing. One of the technicians with Bay Wireless is concerned about a big problem that we've been trying to solve, which was the activating of pagers for the volunteers. So they want to go over there and do some testing to make sure that we do have a good, clear path and that we resolve that problem at the same time. If we can't, then we're going to have to go back to the Deer Island lease with the private owner of that location. There was something else I was gonna, Columbia County, it's still work in progress. I spoke with Mike it's probably been about 2 weeks ago now, and they're looking at somewhere around the first of the year. So they seem to be pretty close.
Okay, thank you.
We have item E in the NOAA interlocal agreement.
Everyone's named Mike. So Mike Hansen from Washington State NOAA, I reached out to him a couple times in the last couple weeks. He wrote back to me, today's Wednesday, he wrote back to me on Monday and said I'll have it to you tomorrow. We got all the kinks worked out, but I don't have it. So
Okay.
tomorrow has come and gone, and it's tomorrow again. And he has not sent me an email with the interlocal agreement.
Okay. So there's a lot of tomorrows.
There's a lot of tomorrows still, hopefully.
Okay, we'll move on then to the budget follow-up. I guess that's probably Rachel.
Okay, let me pull this up. Okay, so from the copy that you guys probably received last week to the copy I have displayed here, there have been a couple changes because I've gotten some more solid numbers. But my plan is to go through only stuff that has changed from our previous meeting where I went through in super detail. And just for a quick explanation, this color blue highlight, which is a light kind of grayish blue, are changes from the last time that you guys saw the budget. This tealish blue color, I should have picked a completely different color, but I didn't, is things that have to do with the facility manager position, whether we keep it or don't keep it, and expenditures that we will have or won't have, depending on what you guys decide to do. And then if it's highlighted in yellow, it means I'm just waiting on exact numbers. And I've gotten some quotes in, but we're waiting on maybe one other quote or something. So I haven't completed it, but that's how, for me, I can keep track of what's going on with the budget. So in salaries and wages, nothing had changed in the revenue portion for operations. But down in expenditures, this facility manager, I'm not sure if you guys plan on saying, yep, let's get one this year, or if you guys put that off. And if you do want to put it off, whether you want me to completely scratch it from the budget or not. But I will do the budget presentation, and then at the end, you guys can give me a direction to go. The total budgeted amount did change for salaries and wages. I took out the COLAs that were included for the current admin staff that had a built-in 3% for COLA raises. because it was told to me that we want to wait and kind of see what happens with negotiations, because we tend to follow what dispatch does for COLA raises and that type of stuff, and same with benefits. So I took out that 3%. So that was the change in there. We got a final starting salary for that NG 911 IT manager. So that annual cost changed. And that one was a guesstimate. So, and then down here in, to say this is training pay. I updated it for the 10 months, so it matched the wording in the other sections. I think one of them said 8 months instead of 10 months. So it went up just slightly so that they were matching on how long people would be in training for in the different sections. Here is just updated numbers based on where we actually came in this year. So I wanted the budgeted numbers to be a little bit closer. I think they were pretty high on the higher end the last time you guys saw it. So I brought those numbers down a little bit because we're not paying quite as much as I had in there previously. In this professional and contracted services, it changed because I finally got actual quotes for janitorial service. Currently, our lowest one is coming out about 42,000. I have one more pending to come in, and the company that came in the lowest off the Small Works roster for quotes is the same company that does the county. And I have one company off the state contract, so hoping theirs comes in roughly close to that 42,000. They're out of Vancouver. This landscaping tools is the teal because it's kind of connected to that facility manager position. This one should be closer to that teal color, but this landscaping service, if we don't have a facility manager, is tied to that position as well.
Rachel, can you make that any bigger?
Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know if I need to like scroll over for total numbers. This next request is that new public record system that you guys saw last meeting with Bree. So I've now included that cost for our yearly. And then this TWG, we kept the 48,000 in there for the negotiation year. It will help cover some of our employment lawyer costs, but also just in case if we do end up needing to hire somebody to help in negotiations, I left that $48,000 in there. But if you guys think that number should not be that high, or you guys want me to change it, please let me know before I do the completed budget for next meeting, which is December 8th. I'm going to zoom out just so I can make sure I catch any highlights over here. Okay. Oops, way too far in. This net motion is, we got a set price with a small increase over the 3-year span, but this is the exact amount. And I want to say the last time I had it in here, it was 16,000. So it went up slightly. This auto insurance is if we end up having to have a truck for the facility position. So teal colored. Bias, the amount changed just slightly from the quote that I had been given. They missed a line that went up like $80. So this changed by a slight amount.
Rachel, can I ask a question on the teal one? Oh, auto insurance.
This one, auto insurance. Yep.
Okay, sorry.
For a truck.
Okay.
And then Deanna, since the last time, has removed us from the PDCC. So I removed both of these costs. Is the PageGate, I believe, is part of Intergraph. Is that correct? And that's why we got rid of that one. And then curvature also is part of Intergraph, so we got rid of that because we're going to Spillman. And those are changes from the last time you guys saw the budget. Landlord tenant, I have added in another quarter for 2022 because of the timeline for the new construction. It seemed like we needed to push it out until the end of June. If end of June doesn't seem like a good time, I just need to know what month we need to put in here. And I don't know if there's any updates on whether that June date is going to need to be pushed out or not, but that's the change. It has 2 quarters rather than 1 from the last time you guys saw the budget.
Do we pay that monthly or quarterly?
It's paid monthly.
How is it, I guess, let me rephrase that. How is it charged?
It's charged monthly, and in our contract with the county, we have to give them 3 months prior notice if we want to get out of it. Let's see. This general, let me zoom back in. NTech and HVAC. The HVAC came in with the highest quote being around 8,000 and the lower end being at 5,200. I budgeted the 8,000 based on kind of the description that they gave of if we go with the 8,000, they're going to do a lot more. They're going to come 4 times a year, but they're going to do a lot more when it comes to cleaning out the filters and all of that type of stuff. Versus at the 5,200, they're just going to come do the basic maintenance check. And so the cost difference and for the quality of work and what they're actually going to do, I thought because of it's a new system, the 8,000 would be where we want to go. But if you guys want to go lower end at the 5,200, we can budget that as well. Cummins was one cost and it was the 3,180 for the year. You guys have a preference on that? Where?
We use NTech right now, correct?
Yes.
For all of the other sites?
Yeah.
And are both of these state contracts?
Yes.
Could that also be adjusted or potentially adjusted if we do hire that facilities person? If they're doing some of this general maintenance? Is that kind of maybe a thought as well?
I don't think for the service that the HVAC is going to be doing that the facility manager would come in and do that type of maintenance. So really, I guess the question is if we want them to just come do very basic maintenance 4 times a year and do the 2-hour load bank similar to what they do to our radio sites, it would be 5,200. Or if we went up to the 8,000 a year, it's not monthly, it's for the whole year. They'll do more cleaning, more detailed stuff for us in our HVAC system. And they did say we did purchase the best HVAC system you can get. So if we don't go the 8,000, they said in about 10 years, you'll have to do kind of a large maintenance thing where they'll come in and you'll do like a one-time charge, but it'll be to do everything they would have done each year doing the 8,000. Do you guys have a preference?
This is just my thought, and others may have something different, but we've got a top of line system. We probably need to make sure it stays that way. I, for one, would rather pay a little bit more on an ongoing basis and make sure it stays top notch so we don't have some difficulties down the road.
Okay, so if we're good with that, or I guess if something changes, just let me know before next meeting so I can update the number. This yellow highlighted is that NOAANET that Deanna is still waiting on the final numbers for it. So I just left it at what you guys had seen previously, and I will update that as soon as I have new numbers to put in there. This isn't changed. The utility shed, the work truck has not changed. It's just tied to that facility manager position. And then let me zoom back out. In these equipment reserve expenditures, there are two changes. This one is the radio console retainage was budgeted in both our equipment reserve and our radio reserve. So I took it out of equipment reserve. So that was the change here. And then the change for this line item is the Spillman purchase. I had a lot lower number for our projected, but they ended up billing us and we'll only have a small portion coming out of 2022 now. And we've paid this total of $432. And the total between these two is the new negotiated price that Deanna had gotten us, that $455. Nothing changed in these other funds at all from last time. In our radio reserve, all I did was updated the actual projected amount and the budgeted amount. And the combination of these two is the this 536 is what the approved radio site improvements sheet that I have previously, the total of what that sheet was. This capital improvements, I updated to reflect, I had previously had, I believe up here, 250,000 for that emergency microwave. It actually came in at 112 something, so 113,000. So I updated that and hoping that gets paid out this year. I'm waiting on the Department of Revenue again to release that retainage. So as long as they get that retainage released, I can process it in my last AP. If not, then that cost will end up rolling over into the 2020 budget or 2022. I don't know why I always go backward in time. Let's see. This last update is the transfer out amount, the projected. I fixed this number to match the actual bond paperwork that we have. So for the year, it was actually 329, not 395, which we projected it to be. So I just updated that. And that last payment will go out in December. And updated the transfer out to match that bond payment and updated the interest on the debt service to match that as well. And I believe that is all of the changes that we have from the last time you guys saw this. So do you guys have any questions about the budget or anything? We plan on passing it December 8th, since that's our first meeting in December, and the second meeting tends to fall around Christmas time, so we don't have a quorum usually. And in the packet, there is the resolution that will be passed with the budget. And I've listed out all the funds and all the numbers. I'll update those pending your guys' decision on what I should do with these teal colored expenditure items.
Rachel, do you have a total, other than the janitorial, were there other duties that could be covered by the facilities person so that we can compare kind of what the costs would be if we had a facilities versus no facilities person?
Well, I can tell you, we didn't go out to see what the cost for like landscaping maintenance would be. I don't have a number for that, and just your question popped that into my mind. So we probably do need a number somewhere for landscaping, which I know was a duty that we were planning on the facility person doing. I know you had plans for them to go up to the different radio sites and do more frequent visits. And I'm not sure cost-wise what exactly they'd be doing, but we could maybe work on getting a number for that.
And it would just be minor maintenance kind of things that currently, we pay somebody to go up there and put down, rat killer or
Okay.
things like that. Things like that, siding at Columbia Heights.
Yes.
They could replace something like that and do the caulking on it, and instead of having to go out and contract that.
I just have one request. I know, can you send out this updated document, Rachel, to the board?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
What's the, I guess, what's the feelings about including the numbers for a facilities person in the budget? Do we want to do that, or do we want to hold off and do a supplemental if we decide to actually hire somebody? Any thoughts?
That's what my thought would be, to hold off and readdress it once we have an executive director on board and have a clearer idea what the duties may be and requirements for landscaping and that sort of thing.
So you're suggesting pulling those numbers out of the budget currently and then doing a supplemental if we decide to move forward after we have an executive director, a full-time executive director?
That's what I'd suggest.
Anybody
I'd
else?
support that.
You'd support that? Okay,
I would too.
okay. Okay, Rachel, it looks like probably be good just to pull those numbers for now. Certainly hang on to them, but not in the budget. We can readdress that after we have a new full-time executive director on board, and we can do a supplemental budget if we decide to change that. Okay. Any other questions for Rachel? Moving on then, discussion of old business, discussion and possible approval of image trend one-time fee. I know we had talked about that a little bit at our last regular meeting. Deanna's going to get some more information, I believe.
And we met with Image Trend, several of the fire representatives, and had a discussion that basically it's one server, one connection. I don't think it was really clear maybe to the developer at the time that all of the fire agencies that currently use Image Trend, including District 6, who's actually connecting to Intergraph with any Image Trend. And then when we go to Spillman, they'll also transition with the other 4 agencies, I believe. We don't have another price yet. They internally at Image Trend had to have some discussions. So.
Okay. So more to come then.
More to come.
Okay. With that, then we do have an executive session, I believe. Is Jim Dusha available? Norm?
I've not seen Jim.
He's in my office with me, so he's here ready,
Okay.
waiting in the wings.
Okay. Okay, so about how much time will he need, do you think?
My,
Probably maybe 15 minutes, fair to say. We'll start with 15. And is that the
Okay.
only issue for executive session? I don't know if there's any follow-up on any real estate.
As far as I know, that's the only
Okay,
item we have for executive session. So we'll say for 15 minutes, and Rachel, can you pop us out then? Where's my cursor?
You guys see the invite?
yeah,
Perfect. Frank, do you see an invitation?
I tried to keep bringing them back like. okay,
Welcome
what's the
back.
solution?
We're ready to go back.
Okay, I closed the room, so it's gonna kick you guys out. You're still muted if you're talking. I think you may be talking, Alan.
Yeah, I often move my lips and not say anything. Okay, the executive session is closed. No decisions were made. And with that, we'll adjourn the meeting, but we will look for a closed meeting for an update on labor negotiations. So, Rachel, if you can adjourn.